Hello everyone! In this video we continue the exploration between the strange links between UFOs or UAPs and the Forgotten Languages website, which has become a part of the congressional record thanks to the UAP hearing in 2024. You can listen to that part in more detail in the first video of the series, a link to which you can click on the screen right now. Year 2013 brought a new chapter in the history of forgotten languages, it seems. While previously the site seemed to host posts concerned mostly with languages, their history, evolution, and various factors shaping them, from now on, as we will see, there appears a plethora of topics which enter potentially sensitive and classified information. Research which is definitely not mainstream and often enters quite bizarre territories actually. On the 29th of July 2013, there was a post titled Interspecies Underwater Communication, obfuscating USO signals with biosignals. Before we delve into the English part of this article, a word about the acronym used in the title. USOs are considered a subset of UAPs. Among the various anomalous phenomena observed, there is a group of them observed underwater or submerged, hence the unidentified submerged or submarine objects term. USOs have been seen in many places around the globe and often travel with speeds matching those of aircraft in the air, and their sizes reported by people of the sea are often truly colossal. But let's move on to the post. It shows several illustrations which look to me like sonar recordings, perhaps with some kind of a Doppler effect overlaid on them. And the English sections read as follows. The Rayleigh fading channel model was originally introduced to model communications with electromagnetic waves in environments with a very large amount of paths between the transmitter and the receiver, like it can be found in urban regions. In fact, the Rayleigh fading channel model assumes that there is no dominant line of sight communication path, but that a large number of the scattered paths influence the received signal in a similar way. I admit that I am no communication specialist nor a massive expert in physics either, so I will leave the interpretation of that part to someone more competent in this field. Next we can read. All observations of seismic energy at significant distances from the sound source must therefore come from reflections, either at the sea floor or in the sediments below. Due to reflection loss, these signals will always have a higher attenuation than would have been estimated from strict propagation modeling of high-frequency sound. This part is not exactly anomalous unless we are talking about USOs which could not only be submerged but actually dig themselves into the seabed. Something like this has been posited in the famous Fortune leak from 2023, where the author claimed underwater alien bases can hide by sinking into the seafloor material. The last section of the post in English covers the transmission of electromagnetic signals in water and reads as follows. On the other hand, we have modeled analytically the behavior, in terms of percentage of lost packets and average RTT, of the EM electromagnetic signals in freshwater when we transmit information between two wireless sensor nodes. Both the percentage of lost packets and the average RTT value in milliseconds can be represented by a polynomial expression of degree 6. These equations let us predict the percentage of lost packets and the average RTT value that we will have in a real underwater wireless sensor network. Well, that was quite the technical article, wasn't it? The next one, published on 15 August of the same year, has quite the intriguing title of Technosignatures, Assessing Long-Term Impact of Class 4 Encounters. And it starts off with a direct mentions, and let's quote it here. The fear to contemplate the terrestrial consequences of a confrontation with extraterrestrials. There we have it. A direct mention of contact with non-human intelligence. After what seems like portions of text written in a language called Lari, according to the tag, we have another English insert. Not only has Earth initially provided an environment for life to develop, but also the resulting living organisms have subsequently shaped the planet. But whose planet is it anyway? Well, the text seems odd at the first glance. However, we had references to the possibility of non-human presence on Earth, lurking deep within our oceans before. This was mentioned as a possibility in the now famous 2023 Fortune leak, where an unknown poster mentioned alien bases, like I said before, including one down within the famous Bermuda Triangle. The mentions of USOs we have mentioned before, and down to the new UFO documentary titled The Age of Disclosure, where scientists and US government officials seriously consider the oceans as a location where, logically thinking, non-human civilization wishing to stay low and under the radar would most likely hide on the planet. Next, we have a mention of Kardashev scale, namely, contact between a Type 1 civilization and a Type 2 civilization can only be made in the Type 2's home stellar system. Otherwise, the encounter will likely imply the total collapse of Type 1 civilization. So, let's explain the terms used here. In 1964, Soviet astronomer Nikolai Kardashev proposed a scale of civilization development, according to which a Type 1 civilization harnesses the power of its entire planet. A Type 2 civilization harnesses the power of its home star, while Type 3 that of its entire galaxy. For reference, let's say that humanity at this point in time is considered to be somewhere around 0.71 to 0.73 on the Kardashev scale. If we eventually become a fully fledged Type 1 civilization, we should be able to carry out subliminal flights or even interstellar travel. However, a Type 2 civilization capable of extracting the entire output of a star like the Sun could indeed easily dwarf its Type 1 counterpart. In the scenario presented in the text, a wandering Type 1 civilization could indeed meet a Type 2 civilization, which could be detected as a Dyson swarm or Dyson sphere surrounding its host star. The opposite scenario could imply a hostile act against the weaker civilization, possibly leaning towards the dark forest theory, according to which most civilizations stay quiet so they are not noticed by larger predators lurking in space. Continuing on, the next part says as follows. Contact with Earth's civilization is bound to be asymmetrical. Wanted or not, this will be psychologically devastating for them. First, it is quite interesting that the mention here is spoken from the point of view of a potential non-human civilization. It is also true, as far as we can tell to the best of the accumulated evidence, that non-human intelligence we know is higher than us on the development ladder and has much more impressive technology. To use the comparison from recent weeks, from Dr. Jim Lakatsky, who worked as part of a team studying UAPs, their technology to our semiconductor technology is about the same difference as our current tech is to sticks and stones. We should also mention other layers of ontological shock resulting from such a contact for many, since such a contact would turn the worldview of many people completely upside down, whether just on purely personal or also on religious levels. This is it in part 2 of the series, and I can promise you that we have barely scratched the surface. But before we continue, we should also probably add that those entries on the Forgotten Languages website that we cite here are almost always tagged as defense, hinting at possible classified information being hidden in the text. The bibliographies for these articles are also interesting in itself. In the next part, we will continue moving through year 2013 and see what else hides in the dark. In the meantime, thank you for watching, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you soon in another video. Take care!